Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is December 30th, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following me for quite some time, I've gone over this 28-day orbit many times. And today, once again, is December 30th. And this is the period of time when we start to look for this Planet X object once again crossing the equatorial region or the ecliptic of the sun. And last couple of days, I've been watching for it very closely. Usually between the 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. Usually it comes in around the 29th or the 30th. And the SEEDS website, SEEDS program, the coronagraph program that I use for this detection. You know, folks, once again, Christmas Day, it started. No data showing up. You know, no way to catch up on this. And then lo and behold, late yesterday, all of a sudden, they got things back together. And I was having a discussion last night with Mark over at Wages World on YouTube. And, you know, I was reminding him that, hey, this is the end of the month, man. We are going to see a coronal mass ejection on the sun right around the equatorial region, meaning, you know, the middle portion, the halfway point of the sun. And sure enough, bingo, like clockwork, it appears. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the picture, and we'll go ahead and talk through it. I'll show you guys the coronal mass ejection that occurred. And here's something else. The data is not all in at the moment. It will probably take another 12 to 24 hours for that SEEDS website and coronagraph to catch up, and more data will be loaded, and we will probably get a little bit of a clearer photograph of this object. And hey, look, folks, I know a lot of people doubt some of this evidence because maybe they've been looking at other things on YouTube and the internet, and maybe they haven't checked out my research on Planet X over all of these years. And now I'm going into the third year of basing everything on this 28-day model, this 28-day orbit. And, you know, it's just not something that I thought up. I've been watching this and documenting all of the observational evidence, and this is the third straight year. So twice a month, we're able to catch a view of this object as it passes up past the ecliptic, and when it passes upward in its eccentric and elliptical orbit, what do we see? Right around the equatorial region of the sun, we see a coronal mass ejection. And then, approximately 15 days later, what do we see again? As the object is coming back down, as soon as it passes that ecliptic, we see another coronal mass ejection, and we capture this object again. So the 28-day orbit, hey, it's real. It's working, and it's been working for the last 3 years detecting this object. I know there are a lot of people out there that still do not believe what I'm saying and what the evidence is showing. And hey, folks, that's your prerogative. But hey, like the old saying goes, I'm just the messenger. I'm showing you what I'm finding. You make your own judgment calls on it. But I've been doing this now for, I'm starting to lose track of the years, but I think it's pushing somewhere between 22 and 23 years I've been investigating this. So let's take it back to 1991. This is what? Going into 2020. So you do the math. That's how long I've been on this damn object's tail trying to find the truth. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up and let's take a look at it. I also have some new programs for photos and videos that I'm using. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the live chat here so I could see everybody. Okay. We got that under control. So I was checking the coronagraph, probably going back to about 3 o'clock in the morning today. Caught a few hours of sleep, and as soon as I got up, bingo! I see this coronal mass ejection on the Cactus coronagraph program and also the Seeds coronagraph. That's all based on the LASCO SOHO spacecraft that monitors the sun. That spacecraft is directly out in front of the Earth, between the Earth and the sun. I believe it's about 1 million miles away from the Earth. And it monitors the sun for coronal mass ejections and, flares and things of that nature. And, folks, over the course of the last 2 years, and this year especially, the boys in blue over there at NASA, man, they keep taking away all the tools that I've used over the years, the websites that I've gone to monitor the sun. I mean, they're taking these away left and right. So I don't know, maybe sooner or later we won't have any tools to make these detections. But you know what? Since 2016, I've documented so much of this Planet X research, and I have all of the files saved on flash drives, hidden away. So I don't know. They can take all the models away, but it's not going to deny all of the evidence that I've acquired over these years. So getting back to the photo capture today. Okay, remember, we don't have all of the data on this coronal mass ejection just yet. In about 12 to 24 hours, a little bit more of the data will complete. So right now, we only have 54 frames recording this coronal mass ejection. Now, if you follow this as closely as I do, these coronal mass ejections are only occurring twice a month. And that is what clued me in on what was happening with the sun. Why were we only having these coronal mass ejections in the beginning of the month and at the end of the month? And during these coronal mass ejections, I'm using a technique that astrophotographers, astrophysicists, and very professional astronomers, like astronomers that work in professional observatories. It's a technique called micro-lensing. And the technique of micro-lensing is basically, to put it in layman's terms, I mean, you guys could look it up, Google it, and you'll get a real technical definition of it. But the micro lensing is basically you have a dark object and you want to see that object. So you have to have some kind of backlighting. Something has to occur in the background to illuminate that object. And that is a technique that is used in astronomy. It is also used on some of the most sophisticated space telescopes that are out there in space on probes. So that micro lensing is a technique that I discovered many years ago, and I put it to work trying to figure out a way that I can use that to my advantage. And over the last several years, it's been working with the help of these coronal mass ejections. So when these coronal mass ejections occur, the sun is spewing out millions and millions of tons of plasma. And we're able to detect this object because this object is creating the disturbance on the sun. Between this object's magnetic field and the sun's magnetic field, as this object passes by very, very close to the sun, it could possibly be maybe a few 100,000 miles away from the sun. But it is close enough that it is able to create that explosion, create that coronal mass ejection, and literally pull that plasma from the sun, which in turn creates that coronal mass ejection. Therefore, the coronal mass ejection almost wraps around this object, and that's how we're able to see it. Now, if you are watching one of the coronagraph feeds, the video feeds, you may not notice it. I have a lot of computers here in my home office. I am constantly recording all of this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So once I knew about this 28-day orbit, once I figured that out, it was very easy for me to start watching very closely around those dates. This object coming in and this object going out. So basically the sun's gravity has captured this object. Earliest detection I have video evidence of goes back to 2007. All of you pretty much have seen that video. And that shows the object in full motion orbiting the sun in about 7 days. But that's only just a small portion of the orbit. We can't see all of it because of the view of the camera. But getting back to this, whenever you are viewing these short recordings of the coronagraph, you have to have some pretty good software, video software, to slow it down, create the video or convert the video into a higher definition. I have that software. I actually have several different softwares that I use to create higher definition still photographs and to create higher definition videos, because the video quality that NASA gives us is complete crap. But in their house, they're looking at super high definition, ultra high definition video. They only feed the public this crap. So I'm able to take it apart a little bit and make it a little bit clearer. With the help of one of these newer programs, it's actually, and I'm still learning how to use it, but it's actually making things a little bit easier. And lo and behold, today, bingo, I see the coronal mass ejection. I have it on video. I'll show that to you. And I'll show you how fast that goes by and how quickly you can miss that object. And you would think, oh, what the hell? That was just an explosion, another coronal mass ejection, no big deal. It wasn't facing Earth. It wasn't an X-flare, so forget about it. But let's take a little bit of a closer look at this object, and you can see it with the white arrow pointing right to it. The best part about it is it showed up right on time. And I mean right on time. So it's very, very hard for skeptics to deny that it doesn't exist when each and every month I come on here to YouTube in the beginning of the month and at the end of the month, and I show you the observational evidence. So how can you deny that? You get my drift. Let's take a little bit of a closer look here. Oh, maybe that's zoomed in a little too much. You can see it right here. Right there. Perfect sphere. So, in all reality, there wouldn't be a perfect sphere that massive inside of a coronal mass ejection, because a coronal mass ejection is an expulsion of the sun's plasma. It's an explosion. Some scientists say it's equivalent to 1 million atomic bombs. I don't know how they come up with that. We never had a probe that close to the sun to measure it, but that's what mainstream science says. I don't follow too much of mainstream science because they're all paid. I'm not. So there we go. And as this coronal mass ejection occurred, it goes by very, very quickly. And again, I'll bring that video up and you guys can see it. And you probably won't see much other than the explosion. So what I do is I take that video, I create an ultra high definition conversion, I make it HD, and then I transfer it over to another program and I take it frame by frame, and that is where you capture this object, because they're only giving you a very, very limited amount of data. Like I said, in the video that we're going to look at, it's only 54 frames. That's it. However, whenever I convert it over, I am quadrupling those frames up to about 240 frames. And that allows me to go through each frame by frame, and take a closer look. And lo and behold, once again, I mean, I knew it was going to be there. I knew it was going to be there between the 28th, 29th, 30th, or 31st. Those are the usual times of the month that it shows its ugly face. Sure enough, today on the 30th, bingo, it's there. Now, you see these what look to be like some kind of distorted lines all through here. This is all part of the coronal mass ejection. These are probably very, very thick, long streams of the sun's plasma. Oh, those would probably be, well, it's kind of hard to judge the length and distance, but those could probably be several 100,000 miles. Maybe, 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 miles streaming outward. from the sun. And again, it's very hard to make those type of measurements with these plasma streams in these coronal mass ejections. But you can see it. Oh, it's wrapped up right in there perfectly. Now, like I said, probably within 12 to 24 hours, this coronagraph will update, and we may get about between 30 and 50 more frames. And hopefully within those frames, we get a little bit more definition. And you can guarantee that if we do, you'll hear from me and you'll see the data and you'll see the information. So there she is. I'm going to go ahead and just back off a little bit. At first I was looking right here at this area, and it kind of looked like something spherical, like possibly another body. But it's as I looked at it very, very closely, it wasn't. It's just the distortion of the coronal mass ejection. But this object right there, once again, folks, if you've been watching my videos and you've seen my data and you've seen these observational photographs, there's no denying it. I mean, just over the course of 2018 and 2019, this year, wow. I mean, it's been incredible. You know, I know some people think that this is scary, which it maybe is to some people. You know, what it's doing to the Earth, well, that's a whole other ball game. And we'll get into that later on. But I'm going to show you the actual video after I converted it to the 4K. So I'm going to jump out of here. And I'm just going to go ahead and let this loop. Now you can see right up here the date, and this is the difference coronagraph, and this is taken directly from the LASCO SOHO spacecraft that monitors the sun. This is the spacecraft that's directly out in front of the Earth, between the Earth and the sun. It's approximately 1 million miles away from the Earth in the L1 position. And this was the coronal mass ejection. This is what I picked that object out of. Yeah, incredible. And you can see the coronal mass ejection. It doesn't look like much. I slowed it down so we can see it. And I also converted it over to a higher definition. Because if I don't, it just looks like a bunch of static and you really can't see anything. And maybe they do that on purpose, you know, to try to hinder seeing anything. But those models, they've been like that for a long time. But thank God for some, you know, new technology with video programs and creating things into this better, higher definition. It's giving me a break. And it's allowing us to see what is exactly out there. So once again, getting into this video, you really don't see much. And I doubt using this video player if I could even stop. Basically, you'll see the coronagraph, you'll see the coloring kind of go dark for a split second. And during that split second, after all these years of watching these coronagraphs, When I see that darkening like that, to me, that's a key factor for me to pay attention to those specific frames. And that's exactly what I did. When I see that darkening, I know something has occurred. And I go back and I look at those specific frames where the coronagraph got darker. And when it got darker, that's what popped out. So, what would be the possibilities of twice a month over all of these years that when there's a coronal mass ejection, a perfectly spherical, massive object appears? I mean, I've heard people call it, oh, it's nothing but a plasma ball. Plasma balls don't look like that. Plasma balls don't shoot off of the sun in perfect frequency twice a month, every 28 days. Just doesn't happen like that, folks, in real life. So what I'm trying to get across is, I know a lot of people are still stuck on this Nibiru myth and this Nibiru story. And folks, that's all that was. For 20 years or more, that story was put out there as probably disinformation, by the government. It was a good story. Zachariah Sitchin and everybody else who jumped on his coattails and added to the story. Nancy Leader and Marshall Masters and then you got, people like Steve Olson over there at his WSO YouTube channel and just, showing people lens flares, camera anomalies. Then you have a whole bunch of people on YouTube now. They pretty much just show you a bunch of crap. And they cloud your mind and they confuse you. There was a time when this YouTube channel produced over 3.5 to 4 million views a month. In late 2017, the boob tube, YouTube, they took care of that. And they really started censoring my YouTube channel horribly. And there's nothing I can do about it. The best thing that could happen is each and every one of you share the video. Don't be shy. Share the videos on social media. Oh man, Facebook hammers the living hell out of me. Facebook has me so censored. It is absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm ready to file a lawsuit against them. That's actually maybe in the works here soon. But, this is where we're at, folks. So twice a month, we're going to see these occurrences. We are also going to see major fluctuations and impacts to our magnetic field here on Earth. And what's that going to do? Well, that's going to induce volcanic eruptions, and that's going to induce earthquakes around the world. Just before I started this live stream, it's already happening. And what just happened a few weeks ago? We had some catastrophic earthquakes, didn't we? And that was about the same time that this object was actually making its way upward past the ecliptic, and the timing was damn near right on schedule. And here we are. It's making its way back around and coming right back down. See, folks, this object literally falls far below our ecliptic. And if you don't know what the ecliptic is, well, let's just say that's, if you have a plate, a dinner plate, and you put an orange in the center of it. Well, the orange would represent the sun, and that flat plate would be the Earth's orbit around the sun. Above it and below it, that would be above the ecliptic and below the ecliptic. So this object is passing at a very, very sharp angle, way below us, way below the ecliptic, and the sun's gravity pulls it right back up. Now, I know that some of you may think that that's just absolutely impossible. Oh, that can't happen. Da, 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 da. Well, look. You need to study stars. You need to study planetary dynamics, the dynamics of stars. And these are some of the orbital paths that two revolving stars that revolve around each other. That's just the way that it is. I'm not pulling your leg, but you got to do some research. Before you tell me I'm full of crap, you should really look these things up and study them in depth like I have over all of these years. And doing all of that studying and doing all of that reading and doing all of that research and learning and learning and learning and learning and learning, it's got me right here to where I'm at today. Understanding this object, understanding what it's doing to our planet. No, it's never going to crash into the Earth. That's just about impossible. A lot of people ask me, when is it going to make breakaway speed? Well, the theory of breakaway speed comes from Nancy Lieder and Marshall Masters in their Nibiru myth and this 3,600-year orbit, which doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because you're looking at it. And each and every month, here on this YouTube channel, you'll be able to see it twice a month. So that pretty much washes out any 3,600-year orbit. Over the last couple of months, I've had a lot of people tell me or mention Gil Broussard's evidence. Well, Gil Broussard doesn't have any evidence. None. Zero. Zilch. All Gil Broussard has and all Gil shows you are fancy posters that he had printed up at Staples or Office Max. I've had conversations on the telephone with Gil back in late 2016. Did a live stream with him in 2017. He has some very, very fantastic and intriguing historical, biblical information. But folks, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but that information has absolutely nothing to do with the truth that you're seeing on your screen now and that you have an opportunity to see twice a month, each and every month. So, I'm sorry to burst some people's bubbles, but you guys, some of you have to, bring your little spaceship down and land it on reality. And this is the reality. This object's magnetic field seems to be pretty damn strong. And that's something that I've been working on now throughout the whole entire year, this year. And I've been watching things very, very closely with the magnetosphere models, the solar wind models. And listen, folks, there's a lot of kooks out there on Facebook and YouTube that pull up these magnetosphere models on the ISWA website. And I mean, they just ramble on about all kinds of shit that doesn't make any sense. But people are buying it. People are being distracted by all of that misinformation. So twice a month, we are going to see impacts, very strong impacts to our magnetosphere, our magnetic field here on Earth. And that magnetic field protects us here on this planet. Without it, that's it. It's over. The Earth turns into Mars. We lose our atmosphere, and all living creatures on this planet die. And that's that. So, what are the reasons why we see these magnetic field anomalies and impacts twice a month? Well, let's take a look at it. If the Earth is rotating around the Sun 365 days in its orbit, and this object is orbiting every 28 days, depending on where the Earth is during that 365 days, each and every month, we are going to encounter this object's magnetic field. Now, if this object was stationary, like the Sun, then we would feel the forces of its magnetic field constantly. But it's not stationary. It's moving very rapidly, and it seems to have a very, very fast rotational speed, meaning spinning on its axis like the Earth. So that's why we're seeing the impacts on the magnetosphere twice a month, heavy. And I'm talking the really hard distortions where the bow shock looks like it's just all crumpled up. We're also seeing, again, very, very slow solar wind speeds. Slower than normal. That solar wind speed should be roughly between 400, 500, 600 kilometers per second. I mean, we barely see that. Now, that could be due to the onslaught of the sun's solar minimum over the next 11 years, these solar cycles. That's also another bad note for the Earth, because the Earth's magnetic field strengthens from the sun's magnetic field. So, as the sun's magnetic field weakens during a solar minimum, and you toss in the interaction of another magnetic field, well, it seems to be that you have a recipe for constant disasters. What have we seen? Let's just go back to 2016. What have we seen? We've seen a very large increase in near-Earth objects, meaning asteroids and meteorites. You can't deny that. Even NASA, even NASA has come out and said that, because they can't deny it. The damn things are zipping all over the place. But the big question is, they're all coming from the asteroid belt, the Oort cloud. They've been out there for millions, if not billions of years. Why all of a sudden is something disturbing their motion. It doesn't take much, and we all know that the majority of, asteroids and meteors have some sort of metallic makeup, meaning made of metals. And you think about the magnetic fields. The magnetic field of the sun, the magnetic field of this object. Is there a possibility that these combined magnetic fields are perturbing the orbits of some of these huge space rocks and literally pulling them inward to our solar system? Inward, right through it, right through the center of our solar system. And already in 2019, we've seen 2 interstellar objects that have come from outside of our solar system. The big, long, cigar-shaped space rock, what the hell they call it, Oumuamua, and that recent one. Those situations there, folks, that's what I kind of really worry about the most is, the Earth being in the wrong place at the wrong time and us getting smacked by a life-ending asteroid. Scientists all claim that it's happened in the past, probably has. They say it's wiped out the dinosaurs, it's wiped out this, it's wiped out that. That's one of my biggest fears. See, I don't fear this object because I know that I will never live long enough to see that object leave the sun. That is a permanent fixture. It's not going anywhere. Not in any of our lifetimes. But the combined magnetic force between the sun and that object obviously has enough energy to perturb the orbits of some of these large space rocks. And I think the governments of the world know that. I wrote several interesting articles on the Planet X News website today. Very, very interesting articles that I think all of you should take the time and read. I know some of you just like to maybe look at picture shows, but do yourself a favor. Read the articles. Read them. Because you'll educate yourself. And you'll start to understand a lot more about space, about our planet, about these things that are flying all through our solar system. You'll learn about the sun. And you may even answer a lot of questions that you may have. And they're very, very interesting articles. And one of them talks about the United States government wanting to destroy that massive asteroid Bennu. And we've heard a lot about Bennu over the course of the last 2 years. And the reason why is not because they want to study it, is because they want to move it. They want to move it away from an impact with the Earth because, well, that object is massive. I think it's over 2,000 feet, higher than the Eiffel Tower. If that would hit the Earth, goodbye. It's over. But I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here. I think you guys have been mesmerized by that. What I wanted to do real quick. Hopefully we get some more data in the next 12 to 24 hours. Hopefully we get some more data on the coronagraph. Here was the article that I researched earlier this morning. And I'm going to go ahead and just open it up here. And I don't know if anybody really knew about this because, I mean, I've been watching and reading all about this asteroid Bennu for quite some time. I didn't realize that NASA actually had plans to divert it or even try to destroy it. But when you start to dig, like I do, sometimes you come up with things that are mind-bending. You see the photograph right here. I said the Eiffel Tower, did I say? I meant to say the Empire State Building. So you could see the comparison with Bennu and the Empire State Building in New York. I've been to the Empire State Building. It's pretty damn high. And that rock is pretty damn big. So, according to a lot of the data that I was researching, NASA's not playing around. Maybe that's why President Trump, initiated this Space Force. The war in space. I'm starting to sound like Pastor Paul Begley. God. If I ever start sounding like him, kill me. I embedded a few really good videos. And fortunately, they're from NASA. Good animation. Decent information. It talks about the slingshot from Earth to asteroid Bennu, the probe that they sent out there. It's pretty good. If you guys want, I mean, I would read this. This is really good information. And they already have a missile set to either explode an asteroid or move it off its course. And when I say move it off its course, the nuclear weapon is what they would be using. The nuclear weapon would explode near the asteroid. And the force would be enough to push the asteroid out of its earthbound orbit. So it's pretty interesting. They call it the Hammer Impactor. Yeah. And here's the thing. This doesn't work for an asteroid that is on its way and we just discovered it. It doesn't work that way. They have to have years. They have to know where it's at. They'll calculate its trajectory. And then maybe they'll launch this hammer. But just like what happened in Chelyabinsk, Russia, when that asteroid exploded in the sky, there is some evidence out there that the Russians actually shot that asteroid down out of the sky with a missile before it impacted the ground. I did see some video, some slow motion video of that, but we'll never know. But it did cause a lot of damage. I think it injured 1,500 people and damaged around 1,000 buildings. And I'm sure all of you have seen the video clips of that. It's pretty amazing. But, I try to keep tabs on everything that's going on that is going to impact our Earth in one way or another. Whether it's a rogue object in our solar system like this Planet X object, or an asteroid or a meteor. So there's some interesting videos that I've embedded in here that all reference. It's a pretty long read. Maybe it'd take you about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to read it all. But it's definitely some good info. I'm going to go back to another article, and I wanted to share all of these with you because over the last several days I've been working on a series of these articles. All of it has to do with pretty much what we're talking about. So there was some other research that was conducted for an extensive period of time. And these researchers are saying that approximately 70,000 years ago, a rogue star caused a massive threat to the Earth. And they claim that our ancestors saw it. Now, they reference our ancestors as the Neanderthal. Well, look, I'm Italian, okay? I didn't come from no damn Neanderthal. But somebody's ancestors were Neanderthals, and they're saying that there is the possibility that this rogue star came through our solar system and our ancestors saw it. Literally looked up into the sky and they saw something strange, something odd. And this is a very, very, very good information. I was pretty intrigued as I continued to research this and put it all together. They claim, these researchers, that right here, that it was possibly a red dwarf. Now, Planet X has been at times labeled a brown dwarf star. We have a lot of brown dwarf stars on the outskirts of our solar system. They've all been found. They've all been charted. Some of them are a few light years away. They nicknamed this area where all of these brown dwarf stars are located the brown dwarf graveyard. I don't know why they named it that, but they're there. So let me get to the point. Let me stop being so long-winded. Here's the point. If mainstream science can go back 70,000 years and tell us that a red dwarf passed through our solar system close enough to where your Neanderthal ancestors saw it in the sky. Because there's a big difference between a brown dwarf and a red dwarf. A brown dwarf, you're not going to see it. It's just like totally black. They don't give off any light whatsoever. Red dwarfs, a little bit different. So I've heard a lot of people over the years that have been making these videos with this ridiculous program called Sandbox. And it's an astronomical program. And you could make this program do all kinds of things. And you could insert a brown dwarf coming through our solar system. And then This program will show you what would happen to the planets. And based on the parameters that you put into the program, it shows that all of the planets, including Earth, get expelled out of the solar system. Destroyed. But you know what, folks? If you buy that crap from these jokers that try to debunk Planet X in our solar system by using this so-called sandbox program, a computer program is just that. It is a program. And in a program like that, you have to put in information. You have to adjust all of the parameters. And it's very, very easy to adjust all of those parameters to make the little video and the simulation do what you want. You get my drift. So basically, they're using that program to kind of fake people out and try to look professional in trying to debunk the theory that another object could possibly enter our solar system and become part of it. That's the crap that you see on YouTube when it comes to studying this subject matter. I take this subject matter very, very to heart. Let's just put it that way. I've sunk half my life into it, and it is what it is. There did come a point where, hey, I said, I'm not believing any of this. I need more and more evidence. As the years have gone by, technology has gotten better, and my research skills have gotten better. And I've been able to, overturn some rocks and find this monster. That's what I refer to it as. But, this article here just proves all of these self-righteous debunkers that, yes, there were points in time in the history of our solar system that, what do you want to call them, rogue objects, passed through our solar system. What makes us so damn special? The galaxy is massive. The universe is even bigger. So, if you believe that it's impossible for a red dwarf, a brown dwarf, a dead star, a hypervelocity planet, a hypervelocity star ejected from the center of the galaxy to make its way to our small little solar system, yes, the odds would be pretty great, but not impossible. And those are the things that they don't tell you. So obviously, these professional researchers, they found evidence of this. And then they go on and they kind of explain what your relatives, your ancestors, the Neanderthals, possibly saw. And it wouldn't be what you think. It wouldn't be this big, gigantic red dwarf ball in the sky. But it would be these kind of faint red flickers, even in the daytime sky. So that's what they hypothesize. Very, very good read. If you have some time, check this article out. Again, all of this was just posted on the website today. It was all shared in the Planet X News Facebook group and on the Planet X News Facebook page. So definitely check it out. Another article I wanted to show you guys. Again, this goes to the facts that there are objects out there not too far from us that astronomers are finding. And they've been finding them. We just don't hear about it. It's not mainstream news unless you're an astronomy geek. Look, I hope I didn't offend anybody. But anyways, massive brown dwarf detected by Swedish astronomers 50 times larger than Jupiter. Shall I repeat myself? 50 times larger than Jupiter. So, for some of you that have doubts and questions about the size of this object, like people would say, when I show them photographs or I post photographs, they're like, oh, BS. Oh, that's impossible for an object that big to be in our solar system. Well, what do you base that on? And how is it that an object the size of Jupiter is in our solar system? How is Jupiter in our solar system? Where did Jupiter come from? It came from somewhere. It just didn't pop out of some space chicken's ass. Yeah. I could smell a lot of gears burning out there in YouTube land right now. People out there in social media land, see, they don't explain things to you like I do. They tell you the one side. They don't tell you both sides. So these Swedish astronomers were doing a very intense survey, and they found another brown dwarf, again, 50 times larger than Jupiter. If you don't believe me, I researched the article. You see right here, that's the name of it. Epic 212-036875B. Google it. It's all you got to do. Google that word, or that word and that number. That's how they name them and classify them. So, this object has a mass range between 13 and 80 Jupiter masses. So, that makes that object pretty damn heavy. So again, folks, for people that say that it's impossible for an object the size of Jupiter or bigger to enter our solar system without disruption, without wrecking the whole solar system, because that is truly a fairy tale. That was something these asinine debunkers used frequently. Oh, that's impossible. There could never be a brown dwarf star entering our solar system. It would perturb and wreck the orbits of every planet. It would expel the Earth from its orbit. Paul, if it came right past the Earth, well, Yeah. But what are those odds? And wondering if an object came into our solar system and the Earth was far away from it. Maybe the object came in out there by Pluto. Maybe the object came upward, just like this object did that we just viewed. The object that is now orbiting our sun. It has a very sharp, eccentric, and ecliptical orbit. I'll show you the diagram of that. Yeah. Huh. Those debunkers, they're not sounding too smart now, are they? Because they're pretty much nothing but a bunch of liars. Government shills, little NSA agents, making their little paychecks with their little navy blue windbreaker. Yeah. Like I tell them all the time, you're in the same boat as me, buddy. Just because you get a federal paycheck doesn't mean that your ass ain't going to suffer on this earth just like me. Yeah, then they get it. But anyways, this picture here gives you a comparison between Epic 212 and Jupiter. You can see that object's pretty damn big. Yeah. Jupiter has a very strong magnetic field. That object, if it did enter our solar system, definitely has a very strong magnetic field. Depending on how strong it is and how far away from the Earth it is, the Earth would probably feel some of the forces of that magnetic field, depending on the distance. Does that make sense? Okay. Glad to hear that. Here's a comparison of Neptune and this big brown dwarf. Epic 212-036-875. I mean, it's not make-believe, folks. Voyager 2, there's Voyager 1, Voyager 2. Voyager 2 found it. And these astronomers, they were using some of the data from Voyager 2, and that's how they found it. Now, this is a recent photograph. A few months ago, me and Mark over at Wages World, we were working on something, and bingo! Bingo! It was that time of the month, baby. And look what we found. Look at the size of that. Do you see the size of it? I hope you're not watching this on a cell phone. I hope you're watching this on a huge flat screen TV like the Jumbotron that you see at a stadium. The little Planet X logo in the middle of that picture, on top of the black circle, which is the occulter on the coronagraph, that's a internal piece that blocks out the sun so we can see the coronal mass ejections. I sized it perfectly to where the Planet X logo would be the exact size of the sun. Look at the size of that object. That object's not make-believe. That object's not photoshopped. That object's real. And I'd be more than happy to show you the photographs that I snapped of this. And they were incredible photographs. We'll take a look at them. You guys stick around. I put these photographs into this article for the sole purpose to show you we saw the comparisons that the astronomers made with Jupiter and Neptune and this massive brown dwarf. I wanted to show you the comparisons with those photographs. Here is another photograph that I captured this July on the 19th. Looky, looky, looky. What do you got there? Yeah. Now, the reason why it looks smaller, I know you're going to be asking the question, is because the distance is a little bit further away from where the camera view was, and the object was just slightly behind the sun in its orbit. Yeah. And where is it passing by? It's passing by the sun's ecliptic, the equatorial region of the sun. What occurred? Oh, did I hear you ask? It created a coronal mass ejection that was pretty damn big. You can see it in that photograph. Anybody at any time can go back to these instruments and you could look at the data yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I embedded this video of mine in this article at the very end for the sole purpose of showing each and every one of you that have not seen this video from 2007. This was the earliest video detection of this object orbiting the sun. Yeah. You guys want to see it? Let me play it for you. I'm going to mute the sound because it's just music. Let's get it into high definition. You guys check this out. Now you guys can see that, right? This is coming from the Stereo Core 2 Stereo B, which is now out of commission. There's two spacecraft out there, Stereo A, Stereo B. They now claim that Stereo B broke down. We can no longer get data from it. I think that's a bunch of horse crap. The reason why they shut Stereo B down is because we would be able to see this object 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all month, all year. So this video is actually sped up a little bit. You can take a look at the dates. February 23rd, 2007. You see the reaction of the sun? This was on the Stereo Core 1. In 2016, when this video was leaked to me by a New York Times reporter, She had been doing some research on this herself. Apparently somebody came to her with the information. She had started researching it. They had showed her some of the video. She was going to write about it. And then I think, as the story goes, some people got to her and basically told her to stop what she was doing. Now, she is still a New York Times reporter. She still works for them. But she had seen some of my videos back in 2016. And she gave me the video. And I thought it was incredible. So I went back through archives, and it was gone. And then mysteriously, in 2017, I don't know what made me go see if I could find it again, but trudging back through all of these archives, I was able to find it. And then when I found it, I knew right then and there that what she showed me was real. And it wasn't fake. And in 2017, I had some bozo wannabe backyard astronomer tell me that that was the moon. Yeah, not some other planet's moon, the Earth's moon. And he did some big presentation and some charts and graphs and some Excel spreadsheets and made a computer model showing that it was our moon. Our moon. You know, that big white ball, you know, with the big craters in it. Yeah. I didn't buy that, not one bit. You guys need to check these articles out and read them. You know, spend an hour or two on the Planet X News website. It's good food for your mind if you want to continue learning about this subject matter. It would definitely help when I'm talking. You know, sometimes I forget that, you know, not everybody's been that in depth into this subject matter for 20 years like I have. And sometimes I'm using terminology and words and things and people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So that's why I say, and I'm not trying to be insultive, but I'm just trying to say, look, okay, don't go out there looking for a picture show. Read the information, read the articles, soak up the information. And, you know, I mean, if you guys have certain questions, hit me up on Facebook. I do my damnedest to get back to you as soon as possible. I mean, I get like 400 or 500 messages a day, and including the emails and stuff like that. I can't get to all of them because I also run a national news website and Facebook page, which takes up 10 hours of my day. I mean, I work a 14, 15, 16-hour day, 7 days a week. Starts at 3:30 a.m. every single day. That's why I have these black bags under my eyes. Here's another article. Just posted today. I was doing some research on this. Found it to be very, very interesting. NASA space telescopes pinpoint elusive brown dwarf. And the reason why they say that they're elusive is because they do not produce any type of light. They're actually not reflective at all. I heard one astrophysicist, I was watching a seminar that was online from Harvard University. And it was actually on YouTube. And these researchers, they had been doing a 10-year study on brown dwarfs. And they were inventing these classifications. It was like 3 hours long. You want to talk about boring people. Man, astronomers, they have to be like the most boring science besides mathematics. But anyways, one astrophysicist said that, he said, take, for example, if you were flying in a spaceship and you were about to encounter a brown dwarf star in space, and you were looking out of the front window of this so-called spaceship, you wouldn't see the brown dwarf. You would literally fly right into it because you basically can't see them. No, they're not black holes, but they just don't produce any light whatsoever. Now, taking into consideration, if that brown dwarf star was orbiting a star like ours, then they use the blink test. You guys can look up what a blink test is. And that's how they're able to start to locate these brown dwarf stars. They also located 2 brown dwarf stars orbiting each other. Yeah. So not all of Planet X science is on YouTube. I would have to say, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't know. I'd have to say probably 95 to 99.9% of any video that has the word Planet X in it is complete sheer crap. You got people out there like this guy Dave Dobbs that pals around with Steve Olson over there at WSO. These guys are complete bozos. They have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And they've even coined the term, the Dave Dobbs object. Well, what the Dave Dobbs object is nothing more than an illuminated chemtrail or contrail of an airplane. Makes it look orange in the sky as it passes by. Dave Dobbs seems to think that that's Nibiru in the sky, in our sky, in our atmosphere. And people believe that. That's the saddest part, folks. People actually believe that. So, with what you've learned here today, what do you think would happen if the Dave Dobbs object was literally passing through the Earth's atmosphere? Do you think that I would be making this video right now? And do you think that you would be sitting wherever you're at listening to me? No. You'd all be dead. I don't know what motivates these people other than maybe they want to be a YouTube sensation. Hey, look, trust me, folks, when it comes to this subject matter, you are never, ever going to be some damn YouTube star. You're not going to be a PewDiePie. You're not going to get millions and millions of views anymore. And you're sure as hell not going to make any money doing it. Yeah, maybe a few $100 with some of the bullshit ads on the YouTube videos. Yeah. I do legitimate research, and I spend a massive amount of hours doing it. I could afford to do it. These guys, nothing but scammers. They belong in a circus. No, that's actually too good. They should be working at one of those local county fairs where they have the carnival with the freaky people that work the carnies. Is that what they call them? The ones that are missing teeth and have the mullet haircuts with the greasy hair and suspenders. Because never have any one of them shown anybody actual hardcore observational evidence. Listen, folks, that's what you're here for, right? You're not here for some damn picture show. You're not here to see fake crap. You're here to learn because you're interested. And believe me, as time goes on, things here on Earth, as of right now, as of 3 years ago, are never going to be the same. You see it in our weather. Our weather is changing so rapidly. Today, folks, today, at 10:10 a.m., I went to Walmart. It was a beautiful day here in Pittsburgh. The sun was shining, the sky was clear of chemtrails, and it was 58 degrees on December 30th. Usually the average temperature around this time of year is 33 degrees. Yeah. We see how the Earth's been affected by the massive amount of earthquakes and volcanoes. Just a few days ago in Ecuador, their largest earthquake just started blowing its top right on time. Right on time. Let me get to that. I was researching another article the other day. I actually wanted to do a video on it, but I just didn't have time. But before we jump into that, check this out. You want to talk about Earth changes. Just the other day, reported on mainstream media, and I researched it. A massive area of hot seawater, the size of the state of Texas, discovered off of the coast of New Zealand. Now, you really wouldn't think that, that's no big deal, is it? Well, actually, it's a really, really big deal. Because that, whatever that is, and whatever is causing that, is destroying the ecosystem severely. And it's not the first time it's occurred. And mainstream science is still baffled by it. And how is it happening? It's in the southern hemisphere. They're claiming that that specific area is absorbing more direct sunlight, therefore heating that specific part of the ocean. Well, sea life isn't used to that. And it does destroy the ecosystems, and our oceans are in turmoil. Ocean temperatures around the world, folks, have steadily been going up for the last several years. Why? Climate change? Global warming? But what is spawning that? See, nobody's giving you that answer. They come off and say, it's man-made. It's man-made. Look, that crap man-made has been debunked by a whole team of scientists. They claim that man is only responsible for approximately 5%. Where in the hell is the other 95% coming from? Why is the North Pole and the Arctic completely damn near melted in the spring, summer, and fall? That fresh water is destroying the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. It is destroying the salinity in the ocean. You don't believe me? Start researching it. Start looking at it. All of the old ice in the Arctic is damn near gone. Now, yes, it does refreeze during the wintertime months, but that's considered new ice, and it's thin. And guess what? Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out that if it's thin ice, it's going to melt faster when the seasons change. And then what happens? All of that fresh water flows directly into our oceans. Yeah. That also affects our jet streams. If you don't believe me, again, research it. Do your homework. Or you could just listen to me. Because I'm always going to tell you the truth. Always. But this was a very, very interesting article. I researched it myself. There's a video here that was put out by CNN. I embedded the video. I don't want to play it on my live stream because YouTube's content claim copyright ID system will pick it up and they'll try to flag my video. So, like I said, folks, go to the website, planetxnews.org, O-R-G. The link's in the description box. All of my links. And go check it out. But this blob of this hot water is actually moving eastward. And they're projecting that it may get close enough to the coast of South America or Mexico in the weeks or months to come. So we'll see what happens. We will see. One last article that I want you guys to check out. Well, actually, there's a whole bunch. Something that's been occurring. You all know that we've had big issues with fires. California, the poor folks and the poor animals, man, in Australia. Australia is never going to be the same. 3 months before this happened in Australia, I warned everybody in several of my live streams, 90 days in advance, that this was going to happen. People ridiculed me. They trolled the living hell out of me on YouTube and on Facebook. Oh, it always gets hot in Australia. The last 3 years in a row, I've been watching this. I called it 3 years in a row. And 3 years in a row, Australia's been breaking records. And this year has been catastrophic. Catastrophic. So for all you troll babies out there, wake up. Take off your diapers. Put your big boy and big girl panties on. And join the truth movement. Because your debunking movement, it got flushed a long time ago. And any day, any stinking day, any of you pieces of shit want to go up against me and my data, let's rock and roll, baby. Anyways, this article right here, I heard this term being used. I was watching some of the news reports coming out of Australia. And I heard a meteorologist using this term, fire-fueled storms. And I started digging into that. I never heard the term before. Fire-fueled storms. Well, lo and behold, when I started researching it, wow. You think the fires itself are terrifying. The fire-fueled storms are just as bad. Just as bad. And this article I put together here goes into detail about how these fire-fueled storms are generated. I found it to be pretty fascinating. And some of the photographs that I obtained were really freaky looking, like what you see on your screen right now. I mean, that looks like a volcanic eruption, but it's not. It's all of that heat and all of that smoke rising up into the atmosphere and literally turning into a storm. Yeah. So the more fires that we have, California, Australia, hell, there were fires burning all over the place a few months ago, everywhere. Even in Siberia. When was the last time anybody heard of forest fires in freaking Siberia? Siberia is supposed to be frozen, but it's thawing out. Big permafrost problems. In Alaska this past summer. How's that happening? What do you debunkers have to say about that? Oh, your lips are sealed. Yeah. See, you don't care about humanity. You're a joke. While people are suffering and while people are dying because of these cataclysms, those jerk-offs are sitting there and making fun of it until it happens to them. Another very good, interesting article. Again, folks, you know, if you don't read these articles, you're really missing out on some really good brain food. No doubt about it. This article here, I meant to do a complete live stream on this. But again, you know, I just was running out of time. Give me 1 second. I was reading a paper, a research paper, related to, well, as scientists like to say, they like to use the word suggest, because the majority of scientists, they don't have any balls. You know what I mean? They're always afraid of losing their funding to tell the truth. But anyways, new research suggests forces pulling on Earth's surface as it spins, triggering earthquakes and volcanoes. Oh, well, alrighty then. What type of forces could pull on the Earth so violently that it could manipulate the Earth's tectonic plates to trigger earthquakes and volcanoes? Well, alrighty then. Could that possibly be forces of another stronger magnetic field? Remember, folks, the core of the Earth is a mixture of molten metals. Yeah. So, if there was another force out there strong enough to manipulate and pull and tug and heat up the Earth's core, creating an expansion, what happens? You're correct. The Earth wants to expand, and the shell, the surface, wants to crack. It wants to move. And we all know what happens when these tectonic plates want to move. We end up with earthquakes, and we end up with pressure release through volcanic eruptions. At any given time now on this planet, we have between 20 and 30 volcanoes in full eruption mode. You never heard about that 20 years ago. You never heard about that 10 years ago. But you're hearing about it now because it's actually happening. And my dear folks, that doesn't have anything to do with global warming. That has everything to do with what's out there and with what I opened this live stream showing you. But don't take my word for it. Do your homework. If you don't have time to do your homework, then take my word for it. I truly think that, humanity is in bad shape. But I think the future, our kids, their kids, I think that they're probably going to get the heavier dose of what's going to turn out. But you never know. You never know. At any given time, your lights can be shut out in a blink of an eye. And the same thing can happen to this planet. People take it for granted. It's easy to do. We shouldn't do it. But at this point in time, in order for us to maybe slow down the fear factor, one of my remedies is learning more about it. It may not work for everybody, but it works for me. If I fear something, I learn everything there is to know about it. So I know what to expect. And I know what my reactions should be. Take the time, folks. When I post articles on the Planet X News Facebook page and over in the group and even on my personal page, just don't look at the picture. Just don't look at the thumbnail and make a comment, especially if you didn't read it. I mean, so many times I have people that make comments. They're kind of, I don't take this the wrong way, but the comments are kind of ridiculous because they don't make any sense according to what was in the article. So these are people that just surf Facebook and read thumbnails and make assumptions. Take a few minutes away from Facebook and click on the article and read it. And then comment. Then maybe we have something to talk about. Because all too many times, I'll comment back and I'm like, look, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, but I could guarantee one thing. You didn't read that article because your comment makes no damn sense. Tell me I'm right. No reply. Read the articles, folks. Feed your mind. Then we could have better conversations. Anyways, folks, a lot of great stuff to feed your mind. And I'm hoping that we get some more data. And we can get another good picture. Where the hell did I put that? We can get another good picture of this bad boy. Right there. Right on time. 28-day orbit pays off again right at the end of 2019. So altogether, throughout this whole entire year, we've acquired 24 really, really good captures twice a month, every month, like clockwork. And, look, folks, if all of that evidence over the course of these last couple of years doesn't help you truly believe that that is what is occurring. It's not Nibiru. It's definitely not the Dave Dobbs object. And as far as Pastor Paul Begley goes, and his mysterious buddy, Mike from around the corner, as I call him, that's all horseshit. It's all fabricated show. It's just meant for views, and it's just meant for people to keep coming back to their YouTube channels. Folks, with all the equipment that I have here, I've got green screens, I've got studio lights, I got a $4,000 high definition video camera, multiple computers. I could do 10 videos a day to suck all of you in. But what's the point? That's what this YouTube channel is not about, that. Here, we want to see evidence. We don't want to see a picture show. We don't want to see lens flares. I got people calling me out all the time. I call people out. Why? Because they post crap. Blue Planet? This guy Hush Puppy? Who in the fuck calls themselves Hush Puppy? Some guy posts a picture of a blue planet next to the moon, taken with an Apple cell phone. which is notorious for internal lens flares. And the processor copies the picture and it puts it in your viewfinder. And when you snap the picture, it stays there. What would happen if there was a blue planet right next to the moon? What controls the tides on Earth? The moon. What would happen if there was another blue moon right next to our moon? Do you not think that we would have possibly 100-foot tidal surges around the world? Oh, Mr. Hush Puppy. Mr. Hush Puppy, don't talk trash on Planet X News ever again. Remember, folks, 99.9% of these bozos on YouTube are just that. They're people that should be working at carnivals. No disrespect to those folks. Sorry about dropping that F-bomb if there were any kids listening. As we say in Italian, forget about it. Anyways, folks, I'm out of here. I've burned your ears enough. Some of you may have nightmares tonight, maybe possibly for weeks. But it's all good. It's all good. Enjoy the information. Read it all. Check it out. Share the videos. Hey, you want to do me a favor? Share the articles too. I mean, when I see people, they don't share the articles, I'm like, wow, I'm doing all this work for nothing. Help me out. I don't need a pat on the back, but I would appreciate all of you sharing the articles because Facebook censors the living hell out of me. If you guys share the articles and you share the videos, that means it just starts to spiderweb, hence the World Wide Web, and it starts to spiderweb around the world. So I need your help. Look, here's the deal. I'm over here on my end, working my tail off 7 days a week. I need you guys to at least help me do that much. That's all that I ask. I don't ask for your money like Steve Olson does. Hey, can you buy me a new car? Can you pay my rent? No. Share my videos. Share the articles that are on the websites. Let other people have the opportunity to see the information. Don't be selfish. Oh, Lord. I should have left this live chat up. But anyway, what's this guy talking about, K. King? Criticizing others is ugly. Hey, dude, check it out. If you don't like what I say, take your butt and don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. How do you like that? Oh, shit. You see, it's pukes like that, this guy, or woman, I don't know who the hell it is, K. King. See, it's pukes like that, little smuttering, uttering snowflakes that will bury their head in the sand at the first hint of any problem. Well, look, buddy, this is my YouTube channel. I will criticize who I want when I want. But it is what it is, and some people need to be called out because they're fakes. Pure and simple. I don't see him spouting off at the mouth anymore, do I? Where'd he go? Pfft. What a joke. Anyways, I'm out of here, folks. I got a bunch of work to do. And like I said, you want to do me a favor, share those videos, share those articles, help me out. And, get the talk going, man. Get the chatter going on social media. And more and more people will actually start to wake up. And that's my main goal, is to get people to understand what is happening. And not to scare people, but to help educate, Yeah, it's for educational purposes. Yeah, right. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Be safe and listen. New Year's Eve coming up. Be safe out there. There's some crazy weather whipping through the United States. Don't drink and drive. I've done that before. Got a DUI. Be good. Don't get in trouble. Don't get thrown in jail. Been there before too. And keep supporting Planet X News. Take care, guys. Be safe out there. And I will see you next year in 2020. Take care, folks.